Welcome to Thoroughbred Action. No, it's not Thoroughbred Action. That's a little later on. This is our daily seminar, and this is the Fall Turf Festival. Ron Nicoletti along with Katie Stazek. You can see I have the replay show on my mind right now. Hi, Katie.
Hi, Ron. Are you excited? Because I am so excited about today. Sunshine Millions Preview Day, 7 stakes races on our 10-race card. We've got Wildcat Red. We have got the winners of all 6 of the Florida Sire Stake races this summer. It's going to be a great day.
Yeah, we have a fast main track firm turf course, and if you do not know by now, the Rainbow Six has a $100,000 jackpot guarantee. It says 50 there. That is wrong. It's $100,000. Get rid of that slate. There you go. $100,000 today. Almost paid $71,000 yesterday, so we will have a $100,000 jackpot guarantee. They hit the pick 5 yesterday, so you got to zero in on that Rainbow Six this afternoon. And as Katie mentioned, 7 of our 10 races today are previews of the Florida Sire Stakes.
Sunshine Millions Day, next January.
I'm so confused already this morning.
That's all right. I've got your background.
Let's go right to the races because I'm all confused here. First race, 1 mile and 1/16. These are maidens on the grass, $12,500. 3-year-olds and upward in here. I went with the 2-horse in here. Kerf, you went with the 6. Totally impressive and probably the logical choice in there because keeps beating Kerf.
Yeah, I went with Totally Impressive. I thought this horse has run pretty evenly and pretty consistently in his last 2 starts. They were both over this racetrack. He got caught 5 wide in his last outing, going 7.5 furlongs. Just got beat for the show by a neck. The start prior, he closed very well at this distance and got up for the place. I think if he continues to show that kind of form, he's going to be a top contender and have a really good chance in deep stretch.
Well, I went with the number 2, Kerf. This one's going to stretch out to 1 mile and a 16th again after pressing the pace, dueling for the lead, and weakling to get beat 5.5 lengths out, going 7.5 furlongs. Really like the connections in here with David Fawkes, Paco Lopez. I think this horse is an inside speed threat, and the last couple of days I've been watching the races here. The turf course has certainly started to favor speed. So going with number 2, Kerf, on the top of my ticket. See if we can get Paco off to a winning start in here. We got the 6, Totally Impressive for all the reasons that you mentioned. We both have the 10, Rockitude.
Yeah, Rockitude drops in class. After failing to make up much ground, he was running at the $20,000 level. He knows this track very, very well, has made 10 starts here, including the only 3 in the money finishes of his career.
Well, you also have the number 3 in here, My Little Jet.
Yeah, My Little Jet, I'm really not sure if it was the dirt surface itself or the sloppy going, but he just was not comfortable last time out, didn't break well, ended up getting beaten by 13 lengths. But the start prior, he was 3rd, beaten just a length and a half over this turf course, gets back on that today. I think that gives him a shot.
Well, let's go to our second race, Katie, and this is the first of, as we mentioned, 7 stakes races. Now, this is the Sunshine Millions Preview Day. I'm not going to get it confused anymore today. 1 mile, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, $100,000, and this is the Millions Distaff Preview. I went with the 6, and so did you, and that's Devil Cade, and this one's a grade 2 winner.
This is such a quality filly. I remember talking to trainer Marty Wolfson before she ran in the Grade 3 Rampart in March, and he just said to me, I don't think they can catch her. She's too quick. She's too good. And she won the Grade 2 Sabin. So impressive. That was a 98 buyer that she got. That's much higher than any other filly in this race, and she's continued to show that form throughout the summer. She most recently shipped up to Churchill for the Grade 1 La Troyenne and was a very game 3rd after not breaking all that well. And the filly that finished ahead of her that day, Molly Morgan, came right back to win the Grade 2 Fleur de Lis with a 97 buyer, and she's won 2 more graded stakes since.
Yeah, so Devil's Cave is certainly the class of the field in here. Not La Troyenne, you're right. She broke in the air at the start of that and then was rushed up to set the pace. Going to put a line through that race. This horse was 2nd in the Sunshine Millions Distaff last January right here across town at Gulfstream Park. Here's the horse I find so interesting, and that's the one, Puttyfoot. This one's making his first trip around 2 turns after winning 3 of 6 sprints, including the juvenile sprint at Gulfstream Park last November, and I certainly remember that race. It was very fast, half-mile bullet over this track in 47-2. And if you've been watching the races here, anyone that's been working over this track or running over this track or has run over this track in the past has had a little bit of an edge, as far as handicapping goes. So Puttyfoot, the big question mark, can it handle the distance? Going to be on the inside. After all those sprints stretching out today to this 1 mile distance around 2 turns, looks like it might be the controlling speed in the second race. I know you have it on the ticket, but we have our second and third selections flip-flop. You went with the 7 Swingers Party, another one from Marty Wilson.
Yeah, the other Wolfson filly. I was actually really intrigued by the fact Wolfson entered both of these because they both have speed. So I don't think he's going to have them going at each other early because that just doesn't make sense. I'm going to throw out her last race at Saratoga. She just probably didn't like the muddy going. But 2 starts back, she was the runner-up here at this racetrack in the Nancy's Glitter Handicap behind a very nice filly in Angelica Zapata, who followed up that win by winning the Soaring Softly at Gulfstream. But I think class-wise, she's just a cut below Devil's Cape.
Yeah, and you know, these horses that are a little better than the other horses in the race, if when you handicap it, even if they're the lone speed in the race, that does not mean they can't come from just off the pace, because they have that class advantage where they can sit off and still run one of their better races. So I'm not expecting a speed duel between the two Marty Wilsons in there, and I know you're not either. The third race, 1 mile and 1/16 on the turf, 3-year-olds and up, and this is the Sunshine Millions Turf Preview. We have 1 scratch to report in here, and that's on number 5, Best Plan Yet. And this horse here, Bad Debt, is on top of my ticket, and you went with the number 3, E.B. Rider.
Yeah, here's another Wolfson filly. I really like E.B. Rider. She won the Anchor Germanis Stakes very impressively at Gulfstream earlier this summer. And, you know, she's got a heck of a closing kick, and it's really been on display. She hit the board in 3 straight stakes this summer. I'm going to throw out her last race in the Wasted Tears. I think she was just way too far back for how slow the pace was, and it just didn't benefit her. She's had some time off, and I'm sure she wouldn't be in here if she wasn't ready. I think that she has every chance to beat the boys.
Yeah, and you know, E.B. Rider also won a stake race on this course, the Francis Genter, back a while back, and that goes with what we've been saying about horses that run good on the surface, run good. But I went with the 8 Bad Debt, who won this race last year, was at Gulfstream Park, won the race by 6.5 lengths, returns to one of its favorite racing surface, 3 starts, 2 wins in the third, turning back after finishing second. That was in a 9 furlong allowance on the Keeneland turf. Paco Lopez will be in the saddle, and Bad Debt trying the defending champ in the preview, trying to do it again. And I know you have that horse in your ticket, E.B. Rider, for all the reasons you mentioned. And we both have the 1 Bretling Flyer stretching out, recovered from a little bit of trouble at the start. First turn, actually, was in tight quarters, got beat only 3 lengths. That was in that showing up.
Yeah, you know, I thought that was a nice race. Multiple stakes placings. He's capable of getting a piece of this, but I definitely think the other 2 are the top 2 in here. Bad Debt, I think, is the logical choice, but at 5-2 in the morning line, I'm just going to try to beat him.
That's what you always want to do. You try and get that price. Let's go to our 4th race of the afternoon. 5.5 furlongs. These are state-bred, maiden special weight runners. A couple of scratches in the jockey change in here. Scratch to 4, Nioman. Scratch to 5, Dance of Freedom. The jockey on the 11 is Tyler Gaffalione, and I went with the 1, and so did you, XY Jet. This one was, what a record, what a horse this horse has been knocking heads with. If you look, he was second to 225A in its debut. 225 came back and won the Affirm. Then he's second to a well-meant horse that everybody's been talking about, Richard the Great, as a future stakes performer. And then was second to Hubba Sheikh, who won the Armed Forces. So this horse knocking heads, yes, with the best 2-year-olds we have around here, but doesn't win.
Yeah, you know, I actually had this horse second on my ticket and scratched into him, but for all the reasons that you say, he definitely looms as the top choice now.
Yeah, except he likes to finish second. You went with the number 7, the second, Overstand, the son of Cool Coal Man.
Yeah, you know, I would hardly call this a step up in class after he ran second in his debut. It was for a tag, but $100,000 is hardly a tag. He was very wide that day, and I thought it was a really solid effort for his debut. You know, and not only does he have race experience coming into this race, but he also has race experience over this track. And like we said, that's a big advantage. So with the scratches, he's very live.
Yeah, no, we both threw the 6. I don't know why you did. I needed yesterday. First time started from trainer Dave Vivian. It tracks Edgar Prado. This race, pretty wide open. So if you're betting races here, you know, maybe the first part of the pick 4 here, second leg of the pick 4, I think you got to go a little deeper in this race.
I completely agree. We do have the same selections, but we, you know, great minds think alike, but there are definitely a lot of options you could go with.
Yeah, definitely. Our 5th race this afternoon is a 1-mile turf event, Phillies 2-year-olds, and you know what it is? It's the Juvenile Philly Turf, and we want to go back and show you a race from October 4th, and it's the Our Dear Peggy.
Yeah, you're going to be looking at the 7, Like a Queen. Man, she really ran well in this race. She's going to close. She was last. She's not last here, but in the early going, dead last. She's going to end up getting the lead, but just get caught late. That was her second start off a 3-month layoff. She just kept running in this race. Keeps coming, ends up getting the lead, and just gets caught late. Who even knows if she saw the filly on the far outside, just was so close to the finish. And this filly loves the grass and is definitely the most accomplished young turf runner in this field. She's proven she can go a route of ground. Not many questions to answer for me. That's why I put her on top.
And, you know, big scratch in here of the horse that I had on top of my ticket, and that was the 4 Magnificent Margot. So Magnificent Margot not running today. I did go with the number 3 horse in second, as you did, Catfight Cowgirl. Steps up today, stretches out after drawing clear 6 wide to score. It was a pretty nice race, going 5 furlongs. Jose Pinch and Ramsey Zimmerman are going to team up. Catfight Cowgirl, that was a pretty nice race.
It was, and she really hasn't run a bad race yet. Distance is the only concern, but only because it's an unknown, it's uncharted territory. But if the breeding is any suggestion, her sire was best routing. Cowtown Cat won both the Illinois Derby and the Gotham Stakes, both over a mile. That was obviously on dirt, but why not? She really deserves a chance in here.
Yeah, and this might be a tip for a lot of guys that went out Friday night, and that's the one hangover Saturday. And this one breaks from the rail at the setting the pace, weakening at the 8th pole, finished up 5th in the Ardea Peggy Forks Abdel Hayyan. This horse is going to go from the inside, I believe. And, you know, you never know. Could steal when he's renting. And like I said, over the last couple of days, I've been noticing that speed has been a little kinder to the turf runners on, or that like to run on or near the lead. So let's go to the 6th race, Katie. 6.5 furlongs, 2-year-olds, of course, $100,000. This is the juvenile sprint, and we're going to go back and show you a video from also on October 4th, and it's the In Reality.
This was the final leg of the Florida Sire Stakes for the Colton Gelding division. This is Sing Praises, and coming into this race, a lot of people doubted this horse could go a route of ground after he just got caught late in the second leg. But you know what? He changed the tactics in this race, and he comes from off the pace, and he ends up holding on again by a very close nose, but he's on the better end of it in this race. And I'm just so impressed by this horse. He can get into a battle and keep coming. And really, trainer Stanley Gold still thinks that in the second leg of the Florida Sire Stakes that they got a little too overconfident with him, and it really wasn't his fault that he lost. So he's only a neck away from sweeping the Florida Sire Stakes. He already has 3 stakes wins. He won the Bird on the Wire Stakes at Gulfstream. And I just think he's the most talented colt in this field. Plus, they're cutting back in distance, so that gives him even more of an edge.
Well, the number 2 in here, Mr. Jordan, we were called up. This horse was touted from the Jersey Shore to South Beach. They actually called us up and told us to watch this race when this horse was making its debut for trainer Eddie Plesa Jr. It's the son of Cantharos, and won this race 6.5 lengths in hand. More tips on this horse than the maitre d' at Joe Stonecrabs. This horse, unbelievable performance, won as easy as possibly could, but it doesn't have the seasoning of a 4 Sing Praises. But I was just so impressed with that horse that I put it on top of my ticket there. But, you know, when I'm betting this race, I'm betting an exacta box, certainly using Sing Praises in there. And both of us have the 225A.
Yeah, 225A. Sing Praises' stablemate was the horse that upset him in the second leg of the Florida Sire Stakes. I'm pretty sure he's better going longer, but he'll get blinkers on today, so that should help him get more involved early. But I really like Mr. Jordan, too, for all the reasons you said. Put this in perspective. That horse was sold or purchased for $155,000. His sire, Cantharos, who is actually among the top 10 freshman sires this year, #1 freshman sire in Florida, $5,000 stud fee.
Wow. So he's, not next year. 7th race, 7.5 furlongs. These are maiden 2-year-olds on the turf. Maiden special weight. The jockey on the 9 is Josie Gomez. Scratch both AEs, number 13 and number 14. And I went with the number 8 in here more front, and I'll tell you why. It's a $400,000 son of Warfront, debuting for trainer Christophe Clement. Luis Saez in the saddle. I love Warfronts on the turf. If Christophe Clement's got another horse in here who you have on top of your ticket, and that's the 5 Prima Storm, who's the the logical choice there because it's got some seasoning already, has that one race. But more front, I see War Fronts, and I'm a sucker for that, so I put it on top of my ticket.
You're not alone in that. Warfront and Tappet are probably the two most popular sires out there right now. So with good reason, you have the one on top. But I went with the more seasoned colt. That's Prima Storm. Second-time starter from Christophe Clement. Posted a 64 buyer, which is the highest of this group when running third in his debut over at Belmont. He tired that day, but I'm just expecting a fitter horse this time around. Christophe Clement, 20% with maidens in their second start, and an effort similar to his last can certainly be good enough here.
Well, we both have the 3 Diamondback returning to the turf after a clunker in the slop, set the pace and finished third, going a mile in the 16th. That was on the Gulfstream Park turf, 2 starts back. Speed play at this 7.5 furlong speed, as I mentioned, I think is better on the turf. Okay, I'm real interested why you picked the number 10 horse in here in the third spot. I like that horse. It's a 5-1, Paco Lopez, Mike Maker, 2-step temper.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go with statistics a little bit here. Mike Maker with first-time starters, 21%. 2-step temper, his sire, 2-step salsa, 14% with his debuting 2-year-old progeny. And his Damn Seuss Temper was a stakes winner. I think he's worked very well leading up to his first outing. Posted a bullet work on October 25th, went 4 furlongs and 47 over a muddy surface, and that might further suggest a suitability for turf.
Well, we'll see how that plays out. And he's a pretty nice price at 5-1 on the morning line. Let's go to the big kahuna of the day, the 8th race, 1 mile and 1/16, 3-year-olds and up. And this is the classic preview. And before we show you this race, I want to go back and show you a replay of our buddy Wildcat Red.
Yeah, and you know what? East Hall is in here too. So this is the last time these two faced each other. And Wildcat Red certainly gets the best. This day, it was his first start since finishing a troubled 18th in the Kentucky Derby. He draws off to win by 10 1/4 lengths. This horse is just so impressive and very accomplished. He's had a very tough campaign, but he had a few weeks off. His first week back, he posts the bullet. I really wanted to bet against him. Right. I did.
Well, I did. But we'll get to it when you see the race. Then you see Wildcat Red. I mean, what a year this horse had. He was just everybody's favorite, too. Just draws off. And guys, you mentioned the East Hall, who went on to win 2 stakes races after this. Just goes to show you how good Wildcat Red was at that particular time. But with that said, I did try and beat it with the number 3, Chivarelli, for all the reasons you mentioned about that tough campaign. Chivarelli is a lightly raced son of Montbrook. Wins his first 2 races at Aqueduct. Everybody is really impressed. Then he comes back. They go from those 2 races right into a grade 1. He finishes 4th in the Wood Memorial. Apparently something happened. He's off for a while. Put him on the shelf. He comes back. He's really impressive, winning a $62,000 optional claimer at Keeneland as the even money favorite. So getting a little cute here. Going to try and beat number 5 Wildcat Red with the 3 Chivarelli.
You know, I think if anyone has a shot to beat Wildcat Red, it is East Hall that finished behind him just because of the timing. I think this horse is better and maybe a different horse than he was that day in the Quality Road. Won the Grade 2 Indiana Derby last time out over multiple graded stakes winner Vickers in Trouble. Wins the Ohio Derby. He too turned in a bullet work in his final pre-race work. But I just think Wildcat Red, 4 matchups with East Hall, has gotten the best of him. Each time, I did want to bet against him, but I could not. I just think he is too good in
Well, you're probably right, but here's that campaign we were talking about. After Wildcat wins the Quality Road, he goes up and he finishes 3rd in the Haskell. Then he finishes 5th in the King Bishop, comes right back and finishes 3rd in the Oklahoma Derby. So a lot of racing right there, and you're probably right here, but, you know, everybody knows if you pick Wildcat Red, they say, oh, okay, but if you pick Chivarelli, maybe they think you're a Sharpie in there, but certainly would not leave him out of my exacta box in there. The 9th race this afternoon, 1 mile on the turf, 2-year-olds. This is the juvenile turf, and we want to go back and show you a race from October 4th again, and this one is the Arm the Forces with our buddy Hubbershake in it.
Yeah, we mentioned this colt earlier, and here he is. If you can see him, we're going to help point him out for you. But this was in the Armed Forces stake on October 4th. Absolutely pouring.
Yeah.
And I was so impressed with this colt's effort. He kind of gets shuffled back shortly after the half-mile pole and falls back to last. Then he's going to angle out all the way 7 wide at the top of the stretch. And he closes to get up and gets up for the half-length victory, and that was in his turf debut. I mean, it only helps his cause that the runner-up in that race, the Big Mystery, came back to win his next start. And Hubba half-brother was also graded stakes place on the turf up at Saratoga. I only expect this colt to move forward off that performance, especially if he can save any amount of ground that he was not able to do in the Armed Forces.
And it doesn't look like it's going to be raining like that today. I did have him on my ticket for all the reasons, and especially seeing it there, but I did go with the 10, Less Than Perfect, turning back to a mile after surrendering a late lead to finish fifth, beaten only 1 3/4 lengths, but that was the grade 3 Bourbon at Keeneland. This is a Rice family entrance, got all the trainer's rice, the rider's rice, so I just think this horse, it's got a little more bottom to it than Hubba Shake, because Hubba Shake, as you mentioned, right after that maiden win, came back and won pretty impressively. So Hubba Shake, the logical choice. Going to use the 10, Less Than Perfect on my ticket, and then I used the number 1, Fire Spike, who's back on the turf for Mike Maker. He got a really nice maiden special weight score on the turf. Then he comes back, doesn't run. Grade 1 Breeders' Futurity on the Keeneland main track. Going back to the turf, Mike Maker, not started many horses down here yet, but every one he starts either wins or runs very well. So I threw him on the ticket. But there's other ways to go in here. You went with the number 4, Jackie's Best in second. Jaden's Best,
Jaden's Best at 12-1. I think why not take a shot with this gelding? He is such a nice horse, third in each of the opening legs of the Florida Sire Stakes this summer. He disappointed in the final leg, but I talked to trainer Kathleen O'Connell earlier this week, and she said it was not the distance. The surface was just so deep, and he didn't like it, but she really thinks he's going to like the firm going on the turf. So she's going to give him a try there. His sire, Wildcat Air, 14% with his turf starters, and he's the sire of Daring Cathy, a very popular turf runner here who just won the Sellers Shiraz on October 18th. If anyone knows how to win here with 2-year-olds, it's Kathleen O'Connell.
That's for sure. So here's a race where you want to get a couple of shots like that with 12-1 shots when you're going with the Rainbow Six with the $100,000 jackpot guarantee. You don't want to have favorites every race. That's not the way you want to go. Our 10th race this afternoon is 6.5 furlongs, and we're going to end it with a stake race. That doesn't happen very often, but we got the Philly Sprint, $100,000 as we've been mentioning it all afternoon here. 6.5 furlongs. We got a video. This one from, guess what? October 4th, it's the Florida Stallion Stakes, My Dear Division, My Dear Girl Division.
My Dear Girl Division. You're going to see the top 2 finishers in this race, Holywell and Moment of Delight. They're both running today. I really liked Moment of Delight in this race because of the distance, and I wasn't sure Holywell was going to get the distance, but I was wrong, and I am not going to be wrong again because I have Holywell on top today. She's going to separate herself from the pack at the top of the stretch, holds off Moment of Delight, wins by 1.5 lengths. This race had me thinking the what-ifs, because in the first leg of the Florida Sire Stakes Filly Division, Holywell got completely knocked out at the start, did not run well. She comes back to win the final 2 legs very impressively. She's won sprinting, she's won going long, she's beaten many of the other fillies in here, and the icing on the cake for me is that Jose Pinchin actually shipped her over here for her breezes so she could get familiar with this racetrack, and she turned in a bullet.
Love this horse today, and I like it more because Orlando Boca Chica's riding. He handles this horse very well. He's able to nurse this horse along in the front end. And every race that this horse won, you say, well, they're going to catch him now. And he always has that little extra gear to keep it going. So a rider fits certain horses, and that's it, the 6 with Holywell. We both have the 1 Coco's Wildcat. Going back to the dirt today after setting the pace, weakening to finish third on the turf. That was in the 5.5 furlong. Salim up at Laurel, undefeated at Gulfstream Park with maiden special weight winning Cassidy Stakes winner. Won that race by 6 lengths, the Cassidy Stakes. So undefeated when it's running on the dirt at Gulfstream Park across town. This is a good horse for the dirt.
You know, she's Florida bred, but she wasn't Florida Sire Stakes nominated, so they had to find other places for her to go. And again, I talked to trainer Kathleen O'Connell, and she said before the sorority, the first stake that she ran in, she got cast in the stall and had a little bit of time off, so she had a feeling that she might not be 100% for that race, and she came up a little short. Then she had the outside post on the grass that she didn't know. She still ran very, very well. When you're got the outside post going 5.5 furlongs, that's not going to help you out very much. Like you said, she won the Cassidy at Gulfstream. I think she's got a very good chance in here.
Yeah, definitely. I was almost going to put her on top, but I was just so impressed with Holywell that I couldn't do it. And we both have the number 9 Moment of Delight. Wear blinkers today. Turn back after that second, going a mile, versus $75,000 optional claimers in second, of course, as we mentioned, in the My Dear Girl. Maybe the blinkers will work her up, put her a little closer to the pace, and she could run there well with Bill Kaplan as the trainer. He's pretty good when he puts first time blinkers on.
Absolutely. My thoughts exactly with that one.
Well, that's how we see the card today. The seven stakes out of 10 races today. That's something else.
I'm so excited. Great day of racing, great betting day, $100,000 jackpot in the Rainbow Six. Ooh, and we have this fantastic giveaway.
Yeah, this is a bottle opener.
Can we give them the sound?
Yeah, we can give them the sound here. I think we're going to try it. Let's see if we can get it to go. There you go. You can hear the sound there. It plays a call to the post when you open your bottle of beer. You get this if you buy a big program or the daily racing form. You get one of these. So you open the beer and boom, you got call to the post. You're going to hear this all afternoon long. Right, Katie?
I'm definitely going to be playing with it.